Look, I'm all for free Palestine. I believe that Palestinians and their descendants abroad should have the same right to return to their homeland as Jews have. For example, when we make Aliyah, I actually believe that they have even more rights to be in their homeland because they were more recently there. I've been following this whole process, this whole genocide, and it's just horrendous. I've been basically broken for the past couple of years. Like being in a, I cannot even explain how difficult it has been to me because though I'm not, I'm not conservative. I'm not orthodox. Needless to say, I'm not ultra orthodox either. I know that that sounds pejorative to them, and that's the last thing I want to do is to upset people. And I've been following a few non-Zionistic, is there such a word, online, and I think it's beautiful the work that they're doing. But there are other Jews as well doing beautiful things. The Jewish Council of Australia, for example, if that, I'm not sure if that's the name. They are also working really hard for the Palestinian cause, and that's really beautiful. But then when I hear them saying that Israel shouldn't exist, it doesn't have the right to exist, because biblically, it's true, it doesn't have the right to exist. We were sent on exile, and for reasons that only God knows, we've sinned, and we were sent on exile, and apparently we are not supposed to go back to Israel until the Messiah comes. Okay, beautiful. But the truth is, the state of Israel does exist. And there are countless people who were born and raised there. So they're Israeli. It's not their fault. They were born where they were born. So what I fear is that because of this type of narrative, people will become violent towards all Israelis or towards all Jews in general, because people have this tendency to mix things up. Just for example, when we had ISIS doing crazy things around the world, some people thought that all Muslims are like that. And of course, it's not true. Most Muslims are just beautiful people. I have amazing Muslim friends. Even when I was going through a Zionistic phase, they never stopped being my friends, for example. Probably the things I would write and post on Facebook would upset them, but they were able to control their anger because, of course, if I was writing something stupid, it would upset people, but they never, ever stopped being my friends, you know? I think it's all about misinterpretation of the holy books, all of them. I think no group has the monopoly on evilness or goodness. What I believe should happen, the current state of Israel has proven that the way it's going, it just cannot carry on. It just shouldn't. It's horrendous what they're doing. They're killing the innocent women, children, regardless. And I see so much hatred amongst a huge percentage of the Israeli population. Sometimes I feel like, will they ever be able to redeem themselves from this hatred? And I've never been to Gaza, but I've been to the Arab areas within Israel. And I must confess, they're just lovely people, very welcoming. I was wearing my kippah the whole time I was in Israel. I was never mistreated. They were so kind and warm and generous with me, in a way a lot sweeter than Jewish Israelis. Because I find that Jewish people sometimes are just too, how can I say, reactive. You cannot show any opinion that is different to them. I'm talking about Israelis here. And they just get so reactive and they're always ready to have an argument. And that's quite upsetting and tiring. You know what my dream would be as a human being? That both groups would forgive each other and just start a new phase where both groups would have equal rights and Israel would cease to be just a Jewish state. It would be just a state where Muslims, Jews, and Christians could get along and live together, be neighbors and stuff. That would be beautiful because if we followed the Holy Scriptures, I've read them. I don't necessarily believe in everything there, but I've read them. And through the interpretation that I got, it seems like they are getting it wrong in so many different ways. So that's as a Jew, non religious Jew. I am religious, but I have my own little version of Judaism that only works for me, you know, and within it, there is space for other ideas and that kind of stuff. So basically, it's been a roller coaster of emotions because when it did happen on the 7th of October, I was very angry and I was very upset and I was like, I wanted to kill the Hamas with my own hands if I had the chance. But then I came to the realization that Hamas is just a side effect. Like when you take a medication, it's just a side effect of a system that is cruel and unjust. So what I hope is for justice for both groups and equality. That's it. Maybe they should change the name of the place, you know? Stop being Palestine and stop being Israel. Come up with something new. You know, you should like all get together and like, let's come up with something new. You know, maybe something biblical because both groups are very attached to the holy books, right? To the holy scriptures, and that's it. You know, why not? Jews, Muslims, and Christians living side by side. You know, it works in Brazil, for example. You know, they should try.